And I get to work, and one of my coworkers is like, "Oh, is that your hair?" It's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, how did you get it like that?" And I kind of explained, like this is how it is. I just put some product in it. I washed it, put some product in it, and this is just its natural state. She's like, "Oh, okay." So then I go and I give myself a silk press. You know, it's easier to manage when I'm busy. And the same coworker sees me again and says, "I like your hair better like this." Welcome to Purposeful Energy. My name is Tess.
And I'm C. And this is episode...
Wait, 3.
We're on
Three.
episode 3. We're on episode 3 of Purposeful Energy. Hi, guys.
We're back.
What's up, Tess? How you doing?
It's popping. Well, I'm good. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for this conversation.
This is a deep one, I feel like. I feel like this is, I don't know, engaging and important.
Yeah, because for many times I see people tweet about this. I see people post about this. And I even, when doing research about this discussion, watched videos on it. And every single discussion, I think, doesn't have enough clarity about the Black woman side of this experience and the validity of that.
Yes.
And, I do have to admit that before we start this conversation that there are good Black people out there and there are good Black men out there.
Disclaimer.
Protecting Black women. Mm-hmm. So we don't think that we are generalizing. But we are going to be holding ourselves accountable today. Remember, that's part of Purposeful Energy. Mm-hmm. That means holding Black women accountable for uplifting other Black women and Black men uplifting Black women. So
that's me.
That is a little disclaimer for the introduction about what we're going to be discussing today.
Yes. So we kind of wanted to touch on Black Lives Matter, this whole movement. I think it became it came to the forefront after the whole George Floyd's murder. And I feel like a lot of discussions then started on Twitter about Black men and Black women and how Black men and Black women interact with each other and protect each other. Because when, George Floyd happened and then we had Breonna Taylor's case come back to the forefront, and the support that Black women gave to Black men and the whole Black Lives Matter movement has kind of been on the back of Black women. And I'm not saying that Black men are not doing a part, but I am saying that Black women have been at the forefront of a lot of these marches. But when it came down to Breonna Taylor's case, it seemed like more Black women, or not even just Breonna Taylor,
Sandra Bland,
the young girl Oluwatoyin. I'm hoping I'm not saying her name wrong. I know she's Nigerian. So, yeah, all of the women that have come even before all those cases and in between, it feels like they kind of get swept to the back. And we put our Black men at the forefront. Now, as a feminist, I feel like it's important, as a Black feminist, we'll say, it's important for us Black women all to uplift each other, but also have support from our counterparts, our Black men. So, what do you think about this?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I feel like even growth within the Black community, the influence that the LGBTQ community, within the Black community has from Black women, and the support from Black women, supporting Black men who want to be, and Black women who want to be a part of that community, uplifting them within that, and getting the same respect, vice versa, and I feel like a lot of the times we're uplifting drag queens and we're uplifting Black women who are transgender, and we're uplifting, all of the, diaspora of what it means to be black as black women, but then our counterparts are so reluctant to be open-minded and educated and, responsible.
Where do you think this comes from, though? Like, what makes us black people so divided when it comes to some of these topics?
I really do have to go off of Western influence, I feel like.
Okay.
Like, I feel like it has a major part to do with how we even got to be becoming a diaspora of people.
Yes.
Because when you have to start where we were a diaspora of people and branching out, you have to think about how we as a people were accommodating ourselves in different cultures and what that meant for our journey. Because it wasn't the same for everybody across the board. I feel like a Haitian diaspora experience is very different from, a an American diaspora or like an English diaspora influence, if that makes sense.
Okay. What does diaspora mean? Because you saying it a lot, and I'm like, I don't actually know the real definition of that word. Scattered population of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the worldly genetic spread of black people.
Okay.
And how we as a people were trying to hold on to some sort of identity and some sort of culture.
Yes.
And I think that we have always, like the world has always tried to suppress that. And so what that means is any behavior that we practice is combative to what people want to be the social norm.
Okay.
And then on top of that, even if we try to conform to the social norm, that's still combative. Some people hate that. Then we're met with, why do you feel like that's your place? Or like, why do you feel like you have to do that to your hair? Or why do you feel like you... But I was like, you told me that this was the standard of beauty. Now I'm trying to practice the standard of beauty. You mad? And so I think that just, it goes back to us trying to hold on to a sense of identity. And then people are like, well, if we can't give them our culture, we'll take theirs.
Okay.
But we don't make the rules. And they get to be selective about what they choose to embrace and what they choose to reject.
But I think, in my opinion, and this is me being a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, I feel like, let's just say the white man, let's just say that, or the colonizer, let's start there, because not everybody's a colonizer, so start from the beginning. I feel like when we came, or I don't want to say we because I am not a descendant of an enslaved person, or one that was enslaved, but I feel like when those Africans that were enslaved and moved to different parts of the country, especially America, it's been very important for those that brought us to this country or to even the other countries that they left us on to break our strong will. Because I've learned that as Africans, we are very, very prideful and very strong-willed people. But I feel like we have a sense of community always. If I see another Ghanaian, I'm like, that's my person. Whether they're from my family or not, or even if I don't know where the hell they came from, because I know that they're another Ghanaian, I'm like, you're my brother, you're my sister. I will do anything I can to help you. And I feel like the black community kind of is starting to get back to that.
Yeah, but we lost ourselves.
Yes, I feel like when we were brought to this country, I keep saying we because it's easier for me to just say that. But when black people or enslaved people were brought to America, we were broken. Like they broke us.
Like
as
literally,
much as they
like
possibly can.
The family dynamic,
Yeah.
and I feel like that is part of like a weak spot that is
Yeah.
often talked about. Like the strength of family, the foundation of what African culture prides itself on. Like Teresa just said, like your family, like people go hard for you, and
Yeah.
and to us they were like, we're gonna dehumanize all of you.
Exactly. And make you feel so divided and so separated that you can never come together to be greater than we are. And in my heart, truly, I feel like in this day and age, if every black person came together to be a united front and decided that these are the laws and rules that we are going to live by, I'm not talking about a revolution. I'm not saying that because, this is public.
Right, because they will twist the words and say that we're trying to conquer the world.
We are not trying to do that. But I think with a united front, we could definitely be great.
Be powerful.
As a community.
Yeah, and for each other.
Yes. And I feel like just even watching the Black Lives Matter movement start all over the world, like we had people in different countries marching that were black people, and that is beautiful and amazing to me. But it's like we can come together for the small things. It's always like that, you know how it's like with us, oh, you're an only child. But anyways, with like a sibling or a friend, you're like, even if we don't like each other right now, we will band together to be against the common enemy. And I feel like we are good when it comes to that. So when it comes to police brutality and people being racist against us, we band together and we'll always support one another. But then when it comes to like things like colorism or the LGBTQI plus community, we kind of like turn our backs based off of like religion and like crazy phobias, and it's like, where are you guys getting this from? Like,
right,
like their person, you don't have no room to judge.
For real. And like that is what Teresa and I were like coming in, because we need to check ourselves, because there's problems within our own community that people see as weak. We can't, but because even Teresa was talking about Black Lives Matter, there's some black people who don't believe in the Black Lives Matter movement because they still have a clouded judgment from outside parties for people who are not black trying to speak on what the movement is supposed to be about and what the revolution is supposed to be about and what is it trying to promote. And everything is misconstrued, and these people are fearful that if they educate themselves on like these parties of a very popular majority that have these same opinions, that there's got to be some truth to it. But if you have to rationalize it, then that compels you to feel like you have to do something about it, which you should. So that is where I personally feel like that comes from, Tess. Like, yeah. I really feel like that's where it comes from, and that's why we're struggling, because we never want to listen to the other side or show any compassion for why maybe we are weak and why we can't seem to come together and how we can support one another and do a better job of that. Mm-hmm. So I think that answers the question of where the hatred within our community comes from. Mm-hmm. But like, we need to identify some of these forms of hatred. We're talking about them a little bit vaguely, but yeah, like, what are like some of the forms of hatred, Tess? Like we were talking about in the beauty industry and beauty standards. Mm-hmm. And
oh my gosh. So I forgot who I was talking to, and we spoke about the Claremont twins and how they have changed their looks completely to, people say it's like for them to make more money, but I'm like, you don't have to not look like yourself anymore to make money. Like,
they did that after they were already making money. So what is it really? about.
Right. Do you no longer want to look like a black person at all? Like, where is this? And I understand, like, back in the day, white women were seen as beautiful, but
That's
I'm
not the beauty standard anymore. Except for
no.
maybe
It's
that
not, I
it
guess to be
is.
like exotic looking, like
Right, not necessarily completely and totally black. Like
yeah,
you're allowed to be mixed with something. Like I really hate that narrative because like even like between Teresa and I, like based on the color of my skin, I always get asked what I'm mixed with, especially and then people again then automatically assume like if you know like my family dynamic, if you've seen pictures of my family, like I grew up with a white stepmom, and so they see my pictures, and because of the color of my skin, they automatically assume I'm mixed, and all of a sudden that's more appealing than if I had two black parents, which, ding, 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 I freaking do. Like, I don't understand how that plays into standards of beauty, or even like for Teresa, they're like, you're not black, you're something else. And then she has to say that she's African. All of a sudden, she's exotic. And she's like appealing. And people are like, oh my gosh. Like, okay, so what if Teresa was just a black woman? Like an American standard black woman. Like, that's who I am. Like, that's what a lot of these women are. Like, what about can some and the thing is like the basic thing is that we are still not seen as exotic, except to other people we are. Like when you talk about how black people travel to like Asian countries and other continents, and like people take pictures of black people like they've never seen us before, and we are exotic, but like to be desired and be seen as a standard of beauty is still not the standard, like across the board, like Western features or like Hispanic or Latino figures, like or even like Asian
yeah,
features.
yeah.
Like those are all still things that are standards of beauty, but like black women features, big noses, big lips, like things like that are desired, but not on us personally.
Yeah, it's like they want everything that we have. Like I've seen videos of like Asian people getting perms to texture their hair so it looks like a black man's hair. But some of these Asian countries are very racist. So it's like, how do you like our aesthetic? How do you like the way we look and want to be like us? Like big boob, I'm not big boobs, but yeah, big boobs or big thighs and big booties came from a lot of people that look like us. Like,
right.
But now when you get on TikTok and stuff, everyone's getting a BBL to look like a black woman. And I'm not saying that everyone that does do that is trying to look like a black woman.
Right. Or that there are people naturally built like that aren't black. Like there are.
But I feel like black women have become, or our style and our aesthetic have become the popular and social norm a little, especially in pop culture, but we're still not liked. Like the famous Malcolm X quote has become like everyone's famous quote to post when they're talking about black women. But yeah, black women are one of the most like disrespected women when it comes to everything.
And here's the thing, like we are the leading like buyers in like the beauty industry. Like we spend the most money trying to be accepted socially, to look the best, and yet we still don't get any attention. Or when we do and are trying to take care of ourselves, it's still a negative quality. I'm bougie. I'm high maintenance.
Sedity. Like it's never, I don't know, it's never enough for us. We can never be right. And I feel like going around from that, then we when it comes down to it, I feel like us as black women, we see that, we point it out, And when we do, we're always called angry or aggressive or jealous. And it's like, in reality, we are not jealous of anyone. We would just like the recognition from what you guys are doing. You can't steal my designs or steal my style. Do it for yourself. When we do it, there's a negative connotation. But when someone of a different skin tone than me does it, oh, that's hot, that's popping. No. And I feel like that's the one thing that needs to change. Like, within, I don't even know.
Well, because like we were just talking about it like earlier, and again, not that it's like we do things that are bigger and better, and like people still find a reason to hate. Like Rihanna has become a mogul in like the fashion and beauty industry, and there are people and the companies right now who are like scavenging to try and compete with her because she's chosen inclusivity, which we've always said, like, we've always wanted nude colored products that we can purchase. Like, we told y'all if you guys had it, we would buy it. Like, we spend the most money on it, and yet somehow you don't want to invest the money in it like we wouldn't buy it. And now that you see we're spending the money on it, you're mad. You can't be mad. When somebody said, okay, I'll do it for you. I have the means. I can do this. I think this will be good for the community. And we say, we love it. Thank you. And now all of a sudden it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's crazy. So bringing this around back to the like Black family dynamic and the relationship within Black men and Black women.
And the community.
How do you feel that this is affecting us? Because there's definitely, from what I've seen on Twitter the past like couple weeks, there's been a divide between Black men and Black women. From Black women feeling unprotected, or Black women feeling undesired. And I don't know, I was watching Girlfriends, I want to say a few weeks or maybe like last week, and there was an episode where Joan and, if you watch Girlfriends, you know who those people are, but like the main characters of the cast were talking about how Black women are undesired by their own counterparts, Black men, and Black men, after they get money or are famous, would rather date someone that looks exotic or a white woman. And that was, I wasn't shocked because it's like, it's something I've seen. Like, you see a lot of athletes and their wives are white or some type, like another.
And not that these white or exotic women are necessarily bad people. Disclaimer again, too. Because everybody automatically assumes, like, we're not mad at these white women. And we're not mad at these Hispanic women. Mm-mm. At the end of the day, you love who you love. Right. But it's about, again, the aggressiveness towards... It's like... It's not that you just love these women. It's that you love these women and hate Black women. Mm-hmm. You can love these women and love Black women.
And not all people that are in interracial relationships are like that. But sometimes when that conversation is brought up, there is always a Black man that will say, well, I like white women because Black women are ... And it's like, why can't you just like why can't you just have the, what's the word? The P, it starts with a P.
Preference?
Yes. Why can't you have your preference without bashing the women that you don't find attractive or whatever? Like, why can't you just say, I like white women because I like the way they do this, and that. Great. Or I like what this looks, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I still feel like there's a little bit of self-hate in that. But, hey, like, if you like what you like, you love what you love. But, or say what you like about your person.
Right. Why do you? Because I know that the person that you love probably goes beyond their skin color.
Exactly.
Like, we're not saying you love that white woman because she's white. She just happens to be white.
Right. Exactly. I feel like that's when it's true, or true love, or whatever you want to say. But like, when you say you don't like a certain type of, or you like these type of people because these people aren't good enough, then it's like, what? Because you'll never, not that you'll never, but I don't see very often black women are like, well, I only date white men because black men are too ... It doesn't happen very often, but when it comes full circle, it feels like it's always black women aren't enough for our black men.
And to that same point, what was I about to say? To that same point, when we talk about the black family dynamic, I feel like, as somebody who is pro-black, if I say I'm a pro-black man, or I say like I'm a pro-black woman, I'm going out of my way to make sure I build a foundation on black family.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there are discussions about how that's prejudice, because when you see white people and they have that same discussion where it's like, I want to stay on the lines of my bloodline. I'm like, no, because we're talking about culture. I'm talking about a foundation built on relatability, about struggle, about race, about history, like being on the same page of understanding, like putting black children into the world who are loved and cared for and creating a population. Like, I don't, and if you have children and you're black and you have them with somebody else, like, your children are still black. I just have to know that my counterpart is going to be able to raise those children with me on a foundation of mutual understanding.
Yes.
Like, it goes beyond empathy. It goes beyond sympathy. I need you to know from personal experience what my child might potentially go through and the things that we're going to have to mutually discuss. And I feel like if you're going to say that you're pro-black, like, that's the healthiest relationship for black children.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that is her preference.
That's my preference. So I go out of my way to, date black men. Or like, and I'm currently dating a black man. But like, that to me is what I believe in. Like, I want to know that if my child says like they've been racially profiled, like, I'm not the only parent who's able to digest that and have something to say and to know what to do.
Yeah. So
that's my spiel on why I feel like it's important within the black community to love each other, especially if we're putting black babies into this world. You're speaking love into those children.
Yeah. I definitely feel like I kind of have the same preference, because I want my legacy to be built on fixing what's broken.
Right.
And I feel like back to what you were saying, like, if a white man or woman were to say that, it'd be prejudice. I'm like, yes, but your family dynamic is not considered broken.
Right.
Ours is. When we talk about the black family, when we talk about black men and black women, or black men and black women and women, whatever it may be, I feel like we have seen many households be a single dad or a single mom, and I don't want that for my family. I don't want that for my children. I don't want anyone to go through that anymore. We're trying to break generational curses. And for us as a people, as black people, that is one of the curses that's been put upon us. We have always been broken. And I'm not going to say always, it's the wrong word. We haven't always been broken, but it's been made apparent that they do not want us to be together. They do not want the black family to be a thing.
Right. We had to get married in secret.
So for me, it's going against the grain and making sure that I'm doing whatever I can do to better not only my family, but to keep the movement alive and to make sure that we are progressing within the Black dynamic and the Black family dynamic and movement. So yeah.
And so, like we said, it's really as easy as, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, not to say anything at all. No, like, notice how during this entire disclaimer, we never said not to love anybody that wasn't Black.
Mm-mm.
Like, love who you love.
Yes.
But also uplift the people in your community who have been victims to oppression and hate based on the demographics that we fall under.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that simple. Like,
and I think a lot of that also comes from ignorance. I feel like as nowadays we're starting to learn more through social media, but I wish that Black history and African history and African American history would be taught within schools, because I feel like people would better understand what we're talking about.
The mentality of a Black person.
All. Yes. Because I feel like, okay, so for instance, I think I told you about this, I was on Facebook, and a girl had said, I don't understand, and she was a Black girl, and she was like, I don't understand why Black people are so angry when they see white women with braids or white women with locks. And I was like, well, no. And she said that, but then she was like, because you guys know that you have nappy A hair too. Mm-mm. And y'all wear white women's hair to cover that. And I'm like, your first statement or opinion could have stopped right there. Like, it could have just been, I don't understand why ... Right. But you decided to support whatever you support, state your opinion, but then come back and bash black women and Black hair. And it's like, that's the problem. It's being so whitewashed that you don't see the fact that there's a negative connotation with having coils and curls. Like, a lot of people can't wear their natural hair to work without somebody saying something. I legit was at work. I work at the hospital, and I wore my hair in its natural state. Like, I washed it, tried to do a wash and go. Didn't really work out the way I wanted it to, so I couldn't put it up or anything. It was too late. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wear my hair the way it is. It's fine. And I get to work, and one of my coworkers is like, oh, is that your hair? It's like, yeah. She's like, oh, how did you get it like that? And I kind of explained, like this is how it is. I just put some product in it. I washed it, put some product in it, and this is just its natural state. She's like, oh, okay. So then I go and I give myself a silk press. It's easier to manage when I'm busy. And the same coworker sees me again and says, I like your hair better like this. And I was just like, no. That's not even a compliment. Like, I can't even say thank you to that, because it's like, what do you mean? But if I were to then ask those questions and be not combative, but ask those questions to figure out why you think that, I would then be seen as aggressive and the angry Black woman. So I just keep my mouth shut and keep it moving. And it's like, why do we have to live in a world where we can't feel comfortable to even wear our own hair?
Which is really crazy to me, because that's still just a confirmation and validation that there's still European standards of beauty, which, for your friends' information, is why we wear wigs and do those certain styles. Not only some of them are protective styles, but also that, like, these are standards of beauty that we have learned to love and embrace and, set trends for, by the way. So that's where that comes from. Like, I don't know. I just don't see my, Because again, wear the braids. Wear the braids if you know the history. Give credit where credit is due. Call it beautiful. Like, just don't disrespect it. Like, it's stylish and trendy when, you see other countries putting dreadlock extensions in their hair. But when we do it, it's dirty. And it's a representation of being a quote-unquote barbarian or uncleanliness. Like,
unprofessional.
And unprofessional.
So I think that's where my anger comes from when someone, like, when I'm on... Ew, I sound like I'm about to cry. And I'm not about to cry. I'm cool.
Okay.
But I feel like that's where my anger comes from when I see a black woman make a post like that. It's like, how dare you call our hair nappy? And yes, you can call your hair nappy and it be fine. But in comparison to another race, it feels so...
The connotation is...
It's very negative. Like, it's like, that's such a negative thing to say. And you know me, I went and I commented and I said something and she said, she didn't reply back to me. I think she like made another post and was like, I don't understand why people are so soft. And it's like, it's not being soft. It's just, I think you are ignorant in the fact that many people don't have the opportunity to wear braids, to wear locks, to wear their curls to work because it's seen as unprofessional, seen as untamed. So for a person of another race that does not need to wear their hair like that can simply just wear their hair the way it is without it being seen as unprofessional, wearing their hair the way that it's seen as unprofessional and it just be fine, just seems very... I don't even know what the word is. Like, I can't even come up with the word right now, but like...
It's rude.
Yeah, like, you just like take a deep breath in and it's like, wow. Like, I am shocked and I am surprised that people are still like this in 2020.
Right. We wouldn't still be having these conversations if we didn't feel like the world was still like this. But it 100% still happens to people.
But yeah. So.
Yeah. With that is basically what we're talking about. So basically, with everything in the climate that's going on, with the case of Breonna Taylor and protecting black women, we just wanted to be a voice to speak on our personal opinions about what we feel like we can do better. And that's speaking love and light into everybody who is celebrating black culture, who is celebrating black women, who is protecting and validating black women, yes, who have some sort of compassion for black women and what we're going through at this time, because it's real. And it has affected us deeply. Like, and I don't think sometimes we necessarily talk about how, but like the mental anxieties of black women, like our trust level. And the thing is, we never try to a lot of us don't try to stray away from our culture. We're just looking. Go ahead. We're just looking for, the right black man, to protect us and to love us and, to give it a chance. But, if that's not who the love of my life is meant to be, like, okay, like, fine. Like, it's not. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But I'd like to know that even if no black man would ever be the love of anybody's life, that I know that I would go out of my way to protect them. And that I would go out of my way to love them. And I would just want that in return. Like, and in order to do that, you do have to tell us, like, we're beautiful and we're smart and that, sorry for always feeling like you guys are stronger than you are. Not to say that we're weak, but, we're human. Like, we're not invincible, Black women in the medical aspect get disregarded, our health concerns, because we sometimes aren't taken as seriously.
We didn't even touch on that, but that in itself is a lot.
Right. Like, and black women in mental health. Like, we don't have these thoughts and these feelings. And we 100% do. And, like, the community of black women that goes because we are a diaspora, like, not all black women are even the same, like, culturally. Like, in how we're brought up, even in America. Right. And that those stereotypes and stigmas, there are some women who fall under those umbrellas, but there are plenty of women who do not. Mm-hmm. And all the women, just the same across the board, we're trying to say deserve love and kindness. That's all. Like, black men, you guys deserve love and kindness. I feel like black women always try to talk about Tess, like, always try to talk about, like, the struggle black men have gone through. Yeah. It's so sad that these black boys aren't getting to grow up. Like, Tamir Rice, like, these babies, like, I think about when that happened, like, I'm like, that was the same age, like, I was, like, the same age, a little bit older when that happened. Mm-hmm. Like,
I feel like it's important for us black people to see each other and actually see each other. And I think it's important for our counterparts in different races to also see each other and see us as equals. And I feel like that's where all of this conversation really just leads to, is that we need to support each other as black people so we can then look and band together to tell the rest of the world that we need your support too. Black Lives Matter too. And I think that's what's really important about this whole conversation, is that I feel like some people think that we think the black people are superior. And there are some, like, Hotep people that do feel like black people are the superior race. We're right.
There's a real demographic of black supremacists.
Yes. But we're not saying that. What we're just simply saying is that we need the same respect. And especially as black women, we need that respect all across the board, from our counterparts, black men, and from the rest of the world.
Right. And we need opportunities to break stereotypes and to educate people, because I feel like the biggest issue is sometimes that we start to educate people and people are like, we can't share this information because heaven forbid that it be factual and it be right. Like, Tess, like, there are moments, that there are moments when it's time to be the opportunity to educate somebody, and, like, somebody is in there to, like, mediate and, like, shut it down because they don't want to talk about it because it's going to make somebody uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But why are you comfortable with the way we are now? And a lot of people aren't, but they're also not comfortable speaking up about it. And that's just as bad.
We had a friend like that. And I'm not going to mention any names, but I feel like there was a conversation that we had when we all lived together.
Okay, yes.
There was a conversation, we had went to a seminar or forum or whatever, and there was, we had a speaker that was pro-black, and he may have made some of our white counterparts feel uncomfortable with what he was talking about. But then our friend came back after we were all having the conversation, and we were happy that he had said what he said, and she was the same race as us, said, well, I feel like it was not the time or place to make those people uncomfortable. I feel like it was not the time or place to have this conversation. And we just kind of looked and it was just like, well, when the forum was based on what it was based on. So it was the perfect time and place, and to educate the people that you can educate. I feel like there's always a way to go about things, and the way he went about it to me was perfect. But for her, as another black woman, she was like, well, I just feel like when white people are in those spaces, you should not have conversations talking about the things that white people have done to us black people.
Why not?
Why not?
And that's a stigma, again, that has been infiltrated into the black community. Like, we're not allowed to speak up. Like, we have to suppress our voice. Or that if there are white people in gaining this information start to begin to feel some sort of guilt or responsibility towards contributing to a society that perpetuates hate onto other races and prejudices onto other races, then why not speak up about it?
Mm-hmm.
Because what is an ally? You want to claim that people are allies? You want to claim that like we have allies within our community? You're not an ally. You're not a black ally if you're a black person and you're afraid to make a few white people uncomfortable. I'm just going to say, like, that's how it is. Like, you can't shake the room without, doing anything.
Sometimes what needs to be said needs to be said. And I definitely understand people that are non-confrontational. Like, it doesn't have to be an argument. But I feel like as black people, we should not have to feel small or make ourselves feel small in a room to let everyone else feel comfortable so we can be uncomfortable. I feel like that's not okay.
Because we live in a world where we are constantly no longer the majority. I mean, at least in America. Like, obviously, there's Africa, which is, an entire continent within itself that has, a black diaspora. But in America, that's why there are literally urban communities. But once you get outside of, black communities, like, you're a black person working and living in a whitewashed Western world. And we are constantly accommodating ourselves to be accepted. Which is crazy to me because we're always deemed aggressive and confrontational and people to be feared. Do I scare you, Teresa? Like, do we scare you? What are you worried about? What are you worried about me that other have being able to be happy and successful just as equally and fairly? And you no longer have power to control the environment or the space because you tell me I matter. That makes you a good person.
Yeah, so all in all, we want to leave this discussion on the note of if you are within the black community, uplift one another. Mm-hmm. Uplift black women. Protect black women. But yeah, I think it's important for us black people to see each other, as I said earlier, and to be supportive of one another so we can seek the support of people in other races. I feel like us banding together.
Support black businesses. Create black businesses to support.
Yeah, the world would be such a better place. Or even America. Let's start small. Maybe Columbus.
Yeah, because Teresa and I didn't even talk about living in Ohio. Ohio. Tess, you want to living in Ohio as a swing state? You get to see it all here.
Yeah.
You get to see really good people, and you also get to see really
different people.
Different people who have different opinions.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure it's like that everywhere. Like,
right.
They are,
like we just said, even in traveling.
Yeah.
We as black people literally have to look up places we can go to see if the acceptance rate of being able to enjoy ourselves in those countries.
Right. Woo.
So
definitely a conversation.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. We would love for you to comment on this video, to interact with us on our Instagram, to give us your thoughts and feelings. I thought about dropping a poll to just have a discussion about, where we think the root of, our black community brokenness comes from, and having that discussion and being honest about the solutions, about what we can do to fix it. Because I feel like we should actively be trying to do better. Like, we should always be wanting to do better for ourselves.
Yes.
So look for us to be interactive online and share your comments, your thoughts, your feelings. We want this to be a safe space, an open space, where if you feel like there's something you want to discuss that we covered that, or shed a little bit more light or an opinion on, we would love to hear. Like, we're all for learning, we're all for growing. So if you're feeling the vibe, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at Purposeful Energy, or on our Twitter, which is Purposeful Energy without a Y, so Purposeful Energy, like the letter G. And for all business inquiries, you can email us at our email down below, which is purposefulenergylifestyle@gmail.com. So thank you so much for listening, or thank you so much for watching. And we will catch you guys on the next episode. Remember to keep your life and your energy and your soul purposeful for you.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye.